join, and then we can maybe start in 11:03 or 11:05.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is our FTC 101 workshop for rookie teams. We're going to be giving like basic information about the season here. And then we are team Roverdrive. All right. We're like we're a 4-year team. All right. And then so we have some of our members who have created this presentation, and we're going to be sort of guiding you through how FTC works and how it will work this year. All right. And then we'll just wait for another few minutes for some more people to join, and then we'll get started.
Hey folks, if you are not talking, can you please put on mute? I see some background noise.
Deepak, as an organizer, you should be able to mute everybody as well.
Can you not? Can you lower the mics?
Shubhan, you can mute as well.
All right, guys, so I am going to get started. Okay, so first off, for questions, if you have any questions while we're going through, if it's specific to the slide and if it can be answered pretty quickly, then feel free to interrupt and ask us. However, if it's like a bigger question that needs a little bit more explanation, please hold them till the end that we can have a proper Q&A session so that a lot of our team can give proper input. All right. So once again, hi everybody, we're FTC team 13180 Roverdrive, and this is a FTC 101 workshop for rookie teams and for any teams who sort of need to know what direction to go in. All right, next slide, please. So today we're going to be talking about a lot of things of how FTC is going to work and how it works in general. All right, so what's important in FTC? We have gracious professionalism, which is sort of like the sportsmanship involved. You have to sort of like an honor code. And then we have the robot, you have engineering notebook and engineering proposal, which are a lot more important than they seem. We have outreaches and community service, which is also pretty important. And we have sponsorships, which can definitely help you a lot in the season. We're also going to be discussing some awards at competitions and how they work. We're going to be discussing a typical day at a qualifier, and then we're going to have a coach give his perspective of the season. All right, next slide, please. So now we're going to have Arnav, who is one of our lead hardware people.
Thank you, Yash. So this is the hardware of the robot, and we took it more of an approach of like how teams should look at it. So there are different parts that companies offer, and these two different things. So like some companies are Tektronix, Rev, AndyMark, and GoBuilda, and all these pieces sort of do different. You can use these pieces to do different things. And they also have different like build types, and some kits match with other kits, some kits won't. But it's always important to research, test, and prototype new pieces so your team can use these pieces to the best of their ability and also not waste a lot of money in the process. And the way that teams should try to like approach a qualifier is that at the very beginning of the season, they should try to target specific tasks they want to complete. Like for example, if I wanted to complete the wobble goal task this year, I'd focus only on that first and try to perfect that to the best ability. So that means making sure that my hardware for the task works almost all the time, making sure that this consistently works and we can always score the points, and just guaranteeing that we get the points. So you want to like build around these tasks and also perfect those specific tasks before moving on to other tasks. That way you'll have a lot of success at your first few qualifiers. And later on in the season, you can also start building. You can also start working on other tasks to complete during the qualifier during the season. And one important thing to do is leave the last week before the competition to bug fixing and driver practice. Because bug fixing, there's often a lot of bugs that teams don't see while they're building the robot, but it's only when testing. And this can be a really big problem. It can delay what actually happens in the hardware and software sides of things. And it can also lead to like night-long sessions where teams are working at like 4 in the morning the night before the competition. And another important thing is driver practice. So this is like training your drivers to actually become more comfortable with the robot, driving the robot, making sure they're ready to perform at the qualifier, because it's very important. The robot game is an important aspect, and teams have to try their best if they want some contention in some awards. And if possible, it's good to have two chassis so that hardware and software can develop in the same time. So like for example, if the hardware team is fixing an issue on the one chassis, the software team can start programming another chassis. So this works in tandem. So like say an elevator breaks on one chassis, the software team can still work with the other chassis, and that doesn't put them behind. But this is only if possible if you can afford two chassis and try to build a parallel robot. And then another really fun thing and really interesting thing is watching teams test robots online. So like on YouTube, you'll see a lot of videos from a lot of really good teams about how like the robots work and also the hardwares that they use. And this is like a very good way to actually get ideas for your robot because a lot of teams innovate a lot and it's very impressive to see what they have. And finally is keeping spare parts for qualifiers that you can use. So like switches, motors, wires, connectors, these are all very important things because if you don't have any like extras and these parts break, that's an issue because you'll sometimes fail inspection depending if you don't have switches, which means you won't even be allowed to compete. So it's always important to make sure you have extra pieces on hand so that if anything breaks, you can just switch it out easily and you can actually compete. So now I'll hand it on over to Rohan, who's going to talk about the software.
Thanks. So I'll be talking about software. I'm Rohan Galati, by the way. So the software part is like the other aspect of the robot that's really important for winning like awards, right? It's the giant part of the game. So you should optimize all of your code to for every single mechanism you have. Like suppose you have a launcher, you want to make sure your code can actually go to a location or maybe fix the angle or power of a launcher so your projectile will go where you want it to go. So you want to make sure your software is as optimized for every single mechanism as possible, and the programming languages that you'll be using in FTC are either Java or block programming. Block programming is similar to the Mindstorms and FLL. So if you have a familiarity with that, you'll be able to start that easily. But if you have more knowledge of object-oriented programming, you'll be able to get started with Java. That's what we did. So there are two periods you'll need to program for the robot game: autonomous period and driver control period. And the autonomous period, like the name says, the robot will be performing only with pre-programmed instructions, like maybe go forward, turn right, go right, that type of things. Or you could also use sensors to make it more optimized, so you can like learn more about its surroundings rather than you just telling it to go forward and turn a certain number of degrees. So yeah, so that's autonomous period, pre-programmed instructions, and then sensors. That's only 30 seconds. Driver control period lasts another around 2 minutes. This is where two team members will pick up a controller and then control the robot's movements with the controller. They'll be able to move the chassis, the whole robot, and like move mechanisms, launchers, etc. And like it's a Logitech game controller. You can search it up. It looks really similar to an Xbox or PlayStation controller. So like while you are coding all this, it's important to document all of them because when you want to like apply for the control award, which is a software award that someone will go over soon, you will need to have all of your algorithms, math, and classes, which are programs in Java, like all documented for the judges to review, so they know what you have done and like your whole how you've grown as how your software has grown throughout the season. And the code you will be doing is kind of extensive. There are many random libraries available from FTC, so we'll be able to help you out. And then there is two folders. If you got started, one called FTC Robot Controller and one called Team Code. You put all your code in Team Code, but there's a bunch of pre-created classes that you can use as templates in the FTC Robot Controller area. So yeah, that's software. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so next is the engineering notebook, which is actually much more important than you might think. And your notebook is actually one of the most critical component of the FTC qualifiers. It's necessary and mandatory to qualify for every award. It basically details the team's journey throughout the whole season, including how the team works, all the outreaches, the business plans, and sponsorships, everything about the team.
Hey, Shubhan, can you come closer to the microphone and speak a little bit loudly?
Okay. Through the engineering notebook, the judges will get to know your team, your journey, your successes, and your failures, and your understanding of the processes and goals. It's arguably one of the most important parts of FTC. Some tips for the engineering notebook is capture everything on the go. Don't try to write everything the last minute right before the qualifier. It'll just result in like a poor engineering notebook. Capture every image, every formula, and everything. Even if you think it's unnecessary, make sure to include it in the engineering notebook. If you would like more information, check the details and the self-assessment checklist on the FTC thing.
And we will be sending out a PDF document later with this presentation. Most likely, we'll be sending it through email, so that way you will have access to some of these links that we have put.
Oh, yes. Okay, so next is the engineering portfolio, which is actually something that FTC has introduced this year. It is similar to the engineering notebook. It is a part of it. It can also be called a summary. It's like a team resume, a maximum of 15 pages. And as like the engineering notebook, it is mandatory for qualifier participation and judging. It contains engineering content like your design processes. It includes the business plan and outreach activities. If you'd like more information on this, check the game manual, page 42 or 43 for details and formatting.
All right, so now I'm going to be talking a little bit about outreaches. So outreaches are basically events that your team holds in order to spread STEM or robotics or FIRST in your community. All right, they can be like local or international. There's a wide variety of things you can do. All right, so you could either start off with just a few people, like what we have here is an example of an outreach. We have like 10 people here, and we're just explaining something about robotics or FIRST to you guys. So this would count as an outreach, right? So for many different outreaches, you have to sort of be creative, think of things that you can present and that will help your community. All right, so some examples that we have are workshops, robotics 101, Java, or like sketching workshops. All right, one example, like I said, this is an example of a workshop. All right, so you could also create a multi-course event, sort of like a class that you could hold for kids, and which you teach them maybe like basics of robotics, or maybe you could just teach them how to code Java or something like that. All right. So last season, we had a large scale event, which we called our Robotics Carnival. It was attended by hundreds of people, and then they all came, they played games. We had lots of information booths about robotics. We also had a fundraiser that we had combined with that event to raise money for our team. All right. You could also have scrimmages. Scrimmages are basically like matches that you'd play against local teams. They're not formal matches. They're informal. That's sort of like off from the official season. It's sort of like just practice and connecting with other teams in your community. Right. You could also do community service and volunteering. Those are always really helpful, especially with like your team image. You sort of project yourselves out into the community, and it makes you guys look really good too. And then we also have the fact that you could do either local or international. For example, we reached out to a school in India and sort of helped them get started on making an FTC team. And we gave them a lot of guidance, and we're currently sort of still in connection with them. All right, so like I said, some of these events could be combined with fundraising so that you could just ask for donations or something like that. Or you could have proper fundraisers like bake sales or something like that, where not only do you send out your image, but you also raise money for your team so that you can support it. All right. So you could also have posters, you have sign-up sheets, and make sure you take pictures. All right, like Shubhan said, There's an engineering notebook aspect, which sort of has to capture everything throughout the year. Outreaches and community service is included. So you gotta be able to document and log those into your engineering notebooks properly. All right, next slide. So as I was talking about fundraising and money, another sort of helpful part of FTC is being able to raise money and have sponsorships. All right, so your season budget could go anywhere from $2,500 to $7,000. All right, and that's a lot of money, and your parents are probably not going to be happy if they have to fund the whole thing. All right, so the costs are spread over the whole season. You have qualifier registration, first registration, you have robot parts, you have food for your team, you have tools, spirit, decoration, everything, maybe even making outreaches if they're large scale events, you know? So FTC as a whole organization, they encourage teams to be able to raise money for themselves, all right? FTC themselves don't give out money. You have to be able to sort of fund your team yourself. All right, so sponsorships are a large part of how you can get some of that money. All right, so in order to do a sponsorship, you'd have to go to maybe like some friends or family and ask them, would you be willing to support this team? Or you could go to some local businesses and say, would you be willing to support this team? And we'll put your logo on our robot or something like that. All right, so in order to do that, you sort of, some tips that we have made is that you got to create like a marketing kit. All right, you have maybe a team one-pager, a short summary of what our team is, how well you guys have done or something like that. Make sure rookie teams, of course, you could just state that you're a rookie team and you're looking for support. Or you could have a tier system that's something similar to what we did. We had like our silver package, we had our gold package, and we had a platinum package. Silver package was like a $250 donation with like the benefits of the sponsors being a little bit less than the gold package and the platinum package. All right, so that way the sponsors have a little bit of a choice of how much money they can give and how much they can also put their name out. All right. So another thing is that it's really important to reach out to local businesses, sort of like restaurants or maybe like your local dentist or something like that, someone who you've been with for a while, you know. And of course, sponsorships are not mandatory, but they definitely help a lot with the cost of your team. All right, you could raise maybe like, if you are really efficient, then you could maybe even fully fund your season with sponsorships. All right. And another thing is that there are a lot of grants out there that many companies, many engineering, many robot, many tech companies give out to FTC teams. So you could like find those grants and apply for them. And maybe you could get some money that way too. A major grant is the Qualcomm grant. Right? If you guys don't know about Qualcomm, it's basically the main sponsor of FTC. Right? So they give out a lot of grants to and sponsorships to teams. So you could definitely reach out to them. All right, the main way to do this is emails or phone calls or in-person presentations. All right, especially local businesses, emails and phone calls work really well. And of course, it depends on a lot of different situations. For example, we once went to a local startup company and then we gave them a short presentation about our team, a summary of what we do. Then we showed them our robot and stuff like that. So then we were able to connect with them and get a sponsorship out of them. All right. And you make sure that you thank the sponsors. All right. So it's not just they give you money and done, that's it. So you have to put their logo somewhere, maybe on your engineering notebook, maybe on your robot, you know. As I said, the tier system, maybe the higher tiers have some more sponsor opportunities. All right, next slide.
So yeah, now awards. So in FTC, there are 10 awards, 3 of which are optional. So the first award is the Inspire Award, and the Inspire Award is awarded to the team that best embodies first. So the Inspire Award celebrates.
Sorry, can I ask Shubhan? Can you please maximize this slide? They seem to have become shrunk. Yeah. Thank you.
So the Inspire Award celebrates a team, in the opinion of the judges, is a strong contender in many award categories. The reliability of the robot during the robot competition is one aspect of this award, but it does not carry more weight than any other requirements. So the Inspire Award is pretty much the team with that has strong contention in all the other awards. And the Inspire Award is very important because it is one of the ways that teams can get qualified. The second award is the Think Award, and it's pretty much the award awarded to the team that with the best engineering notebook. And this pretty much is summed up: if the judges can understand how to build your robot with the engineering notebook, you have a good engineering notebook. It's pretty much how people think of like the Think Award. So like the judges should be able to identify what happened through your journey, any problems you faced, and how you overcame them. and you should be able to document everything that you've done in your engineering notebook and your engineering portfolio. The next award is the Connect Award. So the Connect Award is they connect the dots between the community and FIRST pretty much. They spread FIRST to the rest of the community, and so like for this, teams can reach out. So like for example, what we did, we reached out to a lot of people that weren't participating in FIRST before. So like internationally, we reached out to a school in India. We helped introduce FTC into their system, and we also held a conference a lot of people went to, and they weren't even connected at first. So now they attended and they had a lot of fun. So that's something with Connect Award. The next award is the Collins Aerospace Innovate Award, and it's the most outside of the box solution to the game. And it's awarded to the team that really gets their minds thinking, that really have a really innovative idea, solution, and how they actually approach the game. So like if a team custom builds a slide and they use that for the whole thing, that can be really innovative to the judges. Or if they have like a really innovative design that the judges have never seen before, they'll often award it to them. And one of the criteria is it doesn't have to work all the time. So as long as you're able to show like your design of how you built it and why it's innovative and how it works, you'll be good for that. The next award is the Control Award, sponsored by ARM Inc. And as Rohan mentioned before, the Control Award is the software award, and for this, it's pretty much the mastery of robot intelligence. So like how smart your robot is. Because one really cool thing to see is if your robot is able to understand the field itself by itself. But for this award, teams have to submit a separate control award sheet, which they can find on the First Inspires site. Next slide, please. So here's the continuation award. Then there's the Motivate Award. So the Motivate Award is the team that best connects with the FIRST community and embraces the culture of FIRST. They can do this by holding scrimmages for rookie teams, or even the presentation like this would technically qualify under the Motivate Award. The next award is the Design Award, and it's awarded to the team with the best design by function and aesthetics. So like a team that has a really cool design and it just works a lot of the times, and it's able to capture like the ideas that the judges want you to see. So that's sort of what the Design Award is. And then the next three awards are optional awards, but the next award is the Promote Award. The Promote Award is an award where teams create a video based on FTC guidelines to promote FIRST. This can be found, I think, in one of the engineering notebooks. I'll have to check on that. The next award is the Compass Award, which is also optional, but this is awarded to a coach or mentor. And the team appoints a coach or mentor for the award, and they also create a minute-long video to nominate the coach or mentor or why they also nominate them. And finally is the Judges Award, which is optional for judges to give. And it's the team that pretty much stands out to the judges, but they don't fit in any other categories. So like teams that not, even though you're not like a strong contender, you don't do really well in your robot games, you can still win this award. Next slide, please. So the next slide is how to get qualified. So there's the traditional qualifiers that had them before, and now we're in remote qualifiers. But this is for traditional qualifiers. So traditionally, teams will probably go to 3 qualifiers. You can go to 1 per month, but if you go to 4 qualifiers, that last qualifier won't count. And it's a whole day event. And depending on like the month, you'll often see more teams at the end of the year compared to the beginning of the year. And there's traditionally 16 of 40 teams that may participate at a qualifier. So like you'll see 16 teams at a single qualifier and like 32 teams to 40 teams at a double qualifier. And there's a complex list to qualify. I'll show that in the next slide. But typically to actually qualify for the regional competition, you'll need one of the awards. You'll need an Inspire Award. You'll need to be the winning alliance captain or part of the finalist alliance. And another thing in a qualifier that's really important is judging. So the judging session is like a 10-15 minute session where you give a pitch sort of to the judges, show about your team and what you've done throughout the season, and pretty much try to push that you want to receive an award and which award you're trying to push for. And it's very important to rehearse this part because this is one way that the judges will find out more about your team and what you've done as a team. The other way is through the engineering notebook. And do not hesitate to brag and show off. Remember to show gracious professionalism because that's one important thing that judges are looking for. Next slide, please. So here's sort of the qualification for this year. So traditionally they have also the host, which actually qualifies first. But this year, since most regions are going remote, this is a new thing. So you can see that Inspire Award is very important as it's the first one to qualify, and first, second, and third also qualify. But there's also the highest ranked teams by points, and then also after that is the Think Award. So you can find this in the engineering on the game manual part one. But yeah, here's just sort of the way it works. So next slide, please. Yeah. Oh wait. Yeah. So how will the competition actually work this year? So this year there will be a week-long window for teams to compete in, and judging interviews will be taken online. The software for the actual video conference will be chosen by the local delivery program, a judge, advisor, or the tournament director. And qualification matches will occur in a 7-day window. So you'll also have a week to play the games of the qualifier. And teams will send in 6 match scores, and these can be any matches that they play. Just make sure that you're sending 6 that you actually referee correctly, and then teams will be ranked based on these scores. And videos are not required. They want you to actually be honest with this, so please be honest. And the software that they're going to use this year is FTC Live Cloud software. It's the FTC Live Cloud software, and it's a cloud-based application where teams will score matches remotely. And I'm pretty sure teams should get this when they register. And scores will be submitted on here. And for you to actually use it, you'll have to have an internet connection. So now I'll hand it on over to Coach Pratyush, who will talk about the coach's perspective.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pratyush. Actually, I'm coaching this team. Uh, the team itself is now in the 4th year. And as they talk more about FTC today, you must have seen that FTC is actually a multidimensional activity. What I mean by that is it's not just about building a robot and learning hardware, but also writing software and learning about actually different principles of software. But at the same time, a lot of engineering practices, for example, getting your practice into writing STEM in the order of engineering, like how you do engineering, documenting, making sure that you capture all the essence of your thoughts before you get the robot ready. At the same time, it also has a lot of soft aspects of developing a people's character by teaching them how to go talk to people for sponsorships, conduct outreaches, contribute to the community. So the FTC, in my view, is actually allows all members to tap into their strengths. So as a coach, and I'm expecting most of you are probably either already are a coach of a team or you're going to be a coach of a team, um, you're going to realize that actually your team comes with different strengths. Each individual has different strengths. So one advice, if I can give to you, is try to maximize those strengths and align people to what they want to do. That way your team can perform the best. All right. That said, I also want to call out that this particular presentation today was designed more towards teams which are doing first year, like the rookie teams, which are doing this first year FTC, and they have already plus some familiarity. So many of the people who are in this presentation may already know a little bit FTC because they have seen the problem for this season, the launch which happened some time ago, and they probably already started something. But I can imagine that there are people who joined this presentation today webinar just to learn about FTC. So we're going to open up for Q&A and allow people to ask any questions related to FTC, how to get your team engaged, how to figure out what to do, how to figure out how to get the software done or hardware done or outreaches done, and how to actually finally get into a stage where your team feels qualified and being qualified to actually play in the regionals or even to the world level. All right. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and actually ask for them. We'll try to manage if there are too many questions happening at the same time. We're going to call out the names, but please go ahead and actually unmute and ask the questions if you have any.
I have a question. This is Rashmi. What is the kind of expertise in terms of coding skills that's needed for the students?
So Oh, you agree?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I'm gonna ask Rohan also to jump in here. Depends actually what teams the student are actually from what level of schooling are they. Like for example, if you're forming a team and most of the members of the team are actually just finishing their sixth grade or something like that in that range, um, Java the block programming is one way to start with. Uh, but if you already have somebody actually in the middle school, seventh and eighth grades or higher, we definitely recommend you to go Java. Uh, and because when you ask me actually what kind of level of expertise is needed, you don't actually need object-oriented programming. The whole framework comes it in a plug and play way in the sense you write your code in a linear fashion and there are a lot of examples existing. If you can program a little in Java, you can get a working robot in first year. We started
Okay.
with actually Java in our first year, and our first year team, like 4 years ago, was primarily seventh graders and eighth graders.
Okay. So, if sorry, a follow-up question on that, right? Like, if I'm looking for somebody who's in eighth grade,
Mhm.
so if they know a little bit of Java or they're just trying to get started with it, it's still not too bad, right? Like, it's
It is
not
still
too
not too
late.
bad.
Okay.
As a coach, you will have to come in to actually get the environment set up ready.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of guides available
Mm-hmm.
directly at FTC to actually get the environment ready set up for them. Um, Part of this environment setup is actually uh, because the Java development happened in Android Studio.
Mm-hmm.
And the guides actually get you step by step of setting not just Android Studio, but how to download the framework provided by FTC, which gives you, a empty app to build and deploy on a phone, which controls the robot, blah blah blah. And they also give examples of where to start coding. So effectively, you focus on writing the code, which is going to help you control your robot to solve the problem of this year. You don't have to worry about the infrastructure.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, Rohan, do you have also any point to add? Okay.
That's basically a good summary of it.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah. So
just add one point though. I mean, they just don't like get, I mean, when people start, right, they won't know everything. The whole reason people do FTC for multiple years, Rashmi, so that kids learn as they go, right? If I just look into this team, I can almost mention a transformational change in each and every student here, right? So what they know when they start is very different than what you will see what they know in 3 months, 6 months, right? Just reach out, as Pratyush said, to the mentors, right, at FTC. Even if you have any quick questions or anything, right? Our team can help also, right?
Yeah.
Answering or getting you started. So that's the primary thing I'll say. When we started, right, we did not know anything, much, not much, right? In fact, the reason we do these things is because if we had this help, we could have done much better to start with. So just
Great.
just get started. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah. And I mean, Deepak mentioned 3 months, 6 months. I believe actually even over 3 years and 4 years, they continue to grow. They continue to learn new things.
Got it. So, what would be the best way to reach you guys? Like, are you going to put out some point of like
So we're gonna
communication
send,
line?
yeah. So we're gonna send out actually our team email ID as a part of the response of this, and also upload this document and send out to the PDF to you, right? That email ID for our team would actually we would be able to help you from there. I mean, we can actually point you to all the resources after that
Great.
if you
Thank
just
you so much. Yeah,
sure,
thanks.
sure. Any other questions?
There's a lot of different things that we've discussed today. So like we went over sponsorships, how those
Yeah,
work, over outreaches, hardware.
yeah.
So
So, if may ask, is any team here, or anybody represents a team who's already registered for this year? All right. Then I'm going to ask, how many of you who joined today are actually interested in started FTC for your students, for your kids? Like who is? You can just unmute yourself, introduce yourself.
Yeah, or the raise hand function also works.
So I see Veena has raised her hand. Okay. Sanjay, okay. Rashmi, yes. Um, so can I ask actually if you guys don't mind to introduce yourself, Rashmi and Sanjay, one at a time? What I mean by introduction is actually just give us a sense of what uh, the kids or group of kids you're talking to and what are your thoughts about it. So we may be able to help you actually what is the right structure for a team would be. So Sanjay, you haven't talked, so do you want to talk about that?
I'm just like a student, I guess.
Sure. Hi, Sanjay. Nice to meet you.
Okay.
So do you already have any friends or somebody who actually want to join a team, or are you by yourself right now?
No, my friend told me about this, so I like came to this, and he's not here. I'm not sure.
Sure. So next thing you want to do is actually talk to your friend and say, hey, if we're going to form a team, can we get a coach, like either your parent or his parent, get the coach. And if you have follow-up questions for actually how to do the next step for the team with the coach, once you found a coach, please engage us. Okay, Sanjay?
Okay.
Rashmi,
Hi,
you want to talk? Yeah?
this is Veena here. Can I
Yeah,
talk?
sure. Please go ahead, Bina.
Hi. This was a great presentation. I mean, my daughter is still been mostly attending these webinars to learn more about this. My question is, the tournaments that are arranged, can we attend them as watchers just to see how it works, or is it only for the contestants?
So, Veena, a very good question. In a traditional year, um, it would have been slightly different because the contests which happen actually happen in a physical space where you can go, anybody can go, and you could have gone there and seen them. Okay, but this is being a special year, 2020. Um, the all the qualifiers in at least state of California, if you're from California, are going to be happening remotely. Okay, so best way would be to actually see the YouTube videos of previous year's qualifiers, or maybe or maybe this year if somebody has uploaded the videos. What we can do is in addition to the email which we're going to send with our links, we're going to send our YouTube channel where we have uploaded our last year qualifier videos, and you can see those to get a sense of it. Unfortunately, this will not give you full environment like how it happens the whole day thing, but that is the best this season it might be able to do.
Great. Thanks, Pratyush. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Veena. Rashmi, you also want to ask something or
No,
introduce yourself?
I was, yeah, no, I was just going to say that, yeah, we would be more than happy like to get Aryansh involved. He's an eighth grader, so I'm going to reach out to his friends and see who would be interested in forming a group and take it from there. But I have to tell that I'm like a novice. We just don't know a lot about this, but I'm sure in the past he had participated in the science olympiad kind of thing, and it was a very rewarding experience. So I'm pretty sure this also would be the same. So I think I'm looking forward for this, and then I'm glad that you guys are out there to help out. So thanks for
Sure.
that.
Again,
Uh,
Rashmi, this team has also done like, how to get started or how to start an FTC team's presentations earlier. See, so again, if you want to reach out, right, when we send that email, right,
Mhm.
even just you want to have an informal discussion on how to get started on the team, how to organize the team, I'm sure like some of the kids would be more than happy to walk your child through that experience and how they can get going. So
Yep.
if anything this team can do to like get you on that path, please feel free to reach out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. One more advice I can give you, Rashmi, is as a parent, um, the best way to actually fully get engaged is to take initiative and build a team with your kid and their friends and whoever are interested and start a new team. It's a rewarding experience for learning as well. None of us, like in this team, had any. As I'm not talking about just the students, but also the coaches had no experience in robotics before. So everybody actually learned from the resources provided, and they're this very rewarding. Second thing is, in case you can't do that, another way for you would be to actually reach out to other teams in your neighborhood to see if they still have any openings and your kid can join those teams and commit them for multiple years. Uh, the FTC is actually a multi-year commitment if you want to fully get the benefit of it, and think of it from the point of view that whenever you start in 7th or 8th grade, they're going to continue doing it actually until 11th and 12th, which is great.
Got it. Thank you.
Mhm. So anybody else has any questions? Uh, Deepak, do you want to add anything? Otherwise, we can give actually to the kids back to take the last words.
No, I mean that's it again. Same thing, right? The only thing I will tell all the parents and the aspirant kids that if they really are interested and they want to do something, there's probably more help available than they might think. Just reach out to either FTC or to us, and we can guide them through. But personally, right, being involved in this thing for 4 years, looking at all the kids, right, we probably had 20, 25 kids who has gone through this program. The positive changes I see in them is just so amazing, right? And I will strongly encourage all the parents to join this or something else, right? But personally, I highly recommend getting involved. So yeah, we can pass on to the kids.
Yash, you want to take over from here?
Yash, anybody wants to? Yeah, sorry.
Some advice I would I think is sort of important is to remember that FTC is not just about robotics. It's also about having like managing a team. That's also a large part of it. All right. So like the team dynamic, knowing, being able to interact with everyone and get work done. All right. Team organization is a really large part of it, knowing who's doing what, when something should be done by, and then having a good system to put that in place. All right. And that is definitely going to be more difficult this year with like social distancing, and we're not going to be able to meet and everything. But if you have a team, then it's really important to have like a concrete system of what is going on, so everyone knows who's doing what, and then that way you guys can stay organized throughout your season, and you can also manage your team, because a lot of different people doing a lot of different things does sometimes get very confusing. So have a good system to be able to manage the team as a whole. Yeah.
Arnav, Rohan,
Yeah,
your
like I
thought
guess
on
another really important, like you also learn a lot of life skills through FTC. So like teamwork and time management are two like really important things that I learned, because I first started this when I was in 8th grade. It's my 4th year now on this team, and before that, I didn't really do any like time management. I would say I was very procrastinated. I still sort of am. But like I've gotten better over the years, and like especially through FTC, since a lot of planning has to happen. We often create timelines for when we want like deadlines done, or like we need a part or just testing done. Those are very important in like FTC, and it also like just helps you in like the world. So like in school now, like I start planning my day out or things like that. So like FTC also just helps with like life skills. So I think that's why it's also important. So yeah.
And everything you learn in FTC applies like outside, like on like everything you learn like regarding hardware or like gears and everything maybe could apply to your physics class or math class. Software things also apply to your like math class or whatever, like you're doing trigonometry and geometry and everything in robotics. So now like whatever you learn in math class, you have an application for it in robotics. And whenever you learn robotics, you can always apply that to math class. So it's an important like thing to have on the side, in my opinion.
Shubhan, this is your first year and now you are like almost leading the outreaches. Is there any comment you want to make?
Yeah, I do. I want to say like you don't need to have like experience with FTC or FLL or any robotics. I personally never had experience, and this team gave me the opportunity, and I joined, and I'm learning a lot of things that I didn't even know I would learn.
No, thanks a lot, each and every one of you, for sharing this thing, sharing your experiences. Shubhan, thank you for doing the heavy lifting to prepare for this offsite or this webinar. Um, anybody else, if you want to say, share anything else, we can close the meeting. And again, Sanjay, Rashmi, Veena, all the best to you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you for coming.